The Stalker in the Fog. I opened my apartment door, and the world was gone. Only fog, white, depthless, alive, poured down the corridor like breath from a colossal lung. It lapped at the threshold, tasting the carpet, swallowing the exit sign in a slow, deliberate gulp. The city had vanished behind a curtain so thick it pressed against my cheeks like damp gauze. I should have turned back. Instead, I stepped forward, and the door clicked shut behind me. Outside, streetlights floated as lonely orange orbs in a sea of shifting milk. Their halos pulsed, then smothered themselves. The air smelled of wet concrete and gasoline that would never quite ignite. Sirens faded to cotton-muffled whimpers. Every sound, my breath, the squeak of my sneakers, the distant hum of transformers, felt stifled, trapped inside an invisible quilt. People say our city, Greyhaven, was built on drowned marshes, that the ground still remembers how to exhale. On nights like this, the legends crawl out with the mist. They call him the Stalker in the Fog, a silhouette glimpsed only when the air is thick enough to carve shadows from vapor. No face, no voice, just a thin figure that watches, chooses, follows. Children dare each other to walk the river promenade when the bridge lights disappear. Adults laugh until they hear the second pair of footsteps. Then the laughter drains away, syllable by syllable, into the white. I wrapped my coat tighter and moved downhill toward the tram stop, thinking of bed, soup, anything warm. My phone had no signal bar, every tower strangled by the fog. I didn't notice the footsteps at first. They synced with mine, half a beat behind. Slow, measured, soft enough to be imagination. Until I stopped. Stop, step, stop, step, short, staccato, like punctuation tapping out its own warning. I pivoted, squinting into the swirling murk. The fog shifted, revealing nothing, then drew itself closed again, thicker, closer. Shapes formed, archways, door frames, faces, only to dissolve. My pulse thudded in my ears, louder than the city itself. Under the nearest lamp, a spiral of moisture twisted, almost graceful, then bloomed into a hunched outline. Arms too long, neck too thin, gone in the next gust. I walked faster. My mother used to warn me about Greyhaven's old sins. She vanished when I was 12, last seen during a record fog bank that swallowed the harbor for 3 days. Police chalked it up to misadventure. I memorized every concrete slab of this city trying to find her. Now, marching through a night that had erased every landmark, I realized the irony. I was as lost as she. A thought drilled into me. Ridiculous. Impossible. He isn't stalking randomly. He's finishing something he started years ago. Near Market Square, I nearly slipped. On the slick pavement lay a single black leather glove, palm up, fingers splayed as if reaching through the asphalt. A faded silver initial, M, was stitched inside. My mother's glove. I owned the matching one, kept at the back of a drawer all these years. No wind, yet the glove shivered. I knelt, hand trembling. But before I could touch it, the fog thickened, folding over me like layers of coarse wool. Footsteps. 3 paces behind. Run, now. I bolted into alleyways that bent at impossible angles, each turn birthing more haze. Familiar murals stretched, warped, disappeared. Brickwork beaded with condensation, dripping like sweat from a fevered city. My lungs burned cold. Somewhere overhead, neon crackled. then fizzed out in a shower of sparks swallowed before they touched the ground. The fog felt sentient, tugging, redirecting. I no longer guided my path. The streets moved me like pieces on their board. Always the echo behind, measured, relentless, patient. I ducked beneath a half-collapsed sky bridge. The concrete tunnel tremored with subway rumbles far below. Moisture beaded on the walls, forming mirrored blotches. In one I saw him, standing behind me. A charcoal silhouette, edges feathered, face a smear. Shoulders narrow, head tilting with canine curiosity. I spun. Empty tunnel. Staccato breaths, staccato heartbeat, staccato everything. The mirrored blotch faded last, as though reluctant to let go of its secret. Minimal dialogue, but a whisper slipped through the void. You left me. Not a sound, really. More vibration, like throatless speech carried by water molecules. My knees buckled. The words belonged to my mother, or to something wearing her memory like a mask. I emerged onto Riverside Avenue. Streetlights flickered, creating stop-motion nightmares. Fog frozen as jagged sculpture, then liquid again. Under the bridge, an old service tunnel gaped. One I had explored as a child during summers that felt brighter than this entire night. The tunnel's mouth exhaled thicker clouds than the street. They coiled around my ankles, urging me inside. I knew, with the instinct of prey, that the final act waited there. Yet, some magnet of dread and grief pulled me deeper. Inside, the air throbbed. Fluorescent strips fizzed overhead, each one dying as I passed, plunging me forward in a convulsion of light and dark. Shadows lengthened, merged, hardened. Then, illumination froze. He stood at the far end, where the tunnel narrowed to a point of impossible perspective. Tall, skeletal, skin the color of twilight cloud. No eyes where eyes should be, only blank, absorbent hollows. In one hand, he held the second glove, my glove, dangling like bait. Short sentences now. He raised it. I stepped back. Fog pushed me forward. No escape. Speech leaked from the tunnel walls. Finished what was begun. Memories sluiced in. Mother's final night, her silhouette disappearing into fog. My own childish refusal to follow her call. Footprints I'd ignored, convinced monsters were just stories. The stalker hadn't taken her. My cowardice had. I'm here, I said. My first words all night, thin as wire. The stalker moved closer, limbs bending wrong, yet elegant. With each step, his form shifted. My mother's posture, my own reflection, strangers' faces flickering across his surface like film catching light. He was every fear Greyhaven had inhaled, distilled into a shape we could understand only at the edge of vision. I reached for the glove. Our hands met. Ice. Needle prick shock shot up my arm, stitching flesh to mist. Walls melted. The tunnel became shoreline, bedroom, hospital corridor. Places I had failed to be brave. Fog flooded my lungs. My ribs vibrated with a second heartbeat, slower, heavier. I felt him inside the rhythm, testing the walls of my mind. Walk with me, the voice said. Not aloud, but from behind my own teeth. Fight? Flee? Both actions felt like dreams recalled too late. I squeezed the glove, yanked. The leather tore free, leaving fluttering scraps that twirled upward and dissolved. Light sheared through the ceiling as if dawn had detonated. The stalker recoiled, faces spinning, body unraveling into 1,000 vaporous ribbons sucked toward the rent sky. I ran, ankles puddle slapping, lungs scraping frost, until I burst back onto the avenue. The fog thinned like smoke after a match gutters out. Street by street, the city returned. Traffic lights blinking confusion, windows beating with newborn clarity. Sirens regained their metallic edge. I collapsed beside the tram tracks, clutching half a glove that should have been leather but crumbled like ash. Headlights pierced the clearing mist, yet no driver saw a tall figure retreat. Only my solitary footprints stitched the wet pavement. They'll say exhaustion conjured the nightmare, that grief fermented hallucinations. Let them. But listen. Greyhaven's tide charts predict another dense fog by dawn. I can already taste its cold iron on the back of my tongue. If you're out there when it rolls in, count your footsteps. The second cadence may be slower, almost polite. Don't follow echoes. Don't pick up what the night returns, because the city remembers its debtors. And its collector walks silent corridors of vapor, patient as mildew. The fog forgives nothing. He's behind you now, closer than breath. And the fog is how he opens your eyes.